The city is fallen, Alfred.
Then we must endeavor to lift it up again.
Greetings, sir. This may concern Christian Aguilar here, and I want to introduce the very first joint movie review that I have done with my friend Tyler. If you don't know, I co-host a show called The Rendered Image on my friend Tyler's channel. His link is down below in the description. So we host the show The Rendered Image every single Thursday live on YouTube. This joint review was done by us because we sat and watched The Long Halloween together, and then we decided to sit and review it together live on the show. So this is going to be something a little different. I took a portion of our long 1 hour and 35-minute live stream and just took that little bit of the review and put it into this video for you to watch here on my channel. The long 1 hour episode is always there for you to view as well, because we discuss a whole bunch of other movie topics on there every single Thursday. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy the first joint review. There's going to be probably many more of these to come. It's always good and refreshing and exciting to review a movie with someone else, like with a partner, and I do not mind introducing that into my channel as well. So you're going to get like basically kind of like a third type of review. There's movie reviews, series reviews, and then now there's a joint review that I do with my friend Tyler. So please sit back and enjoy our review for Batman The Long Halloween Part 1.
Without further ado, let's officially review Batman A Long Halloween Part 1.
Nice.
Which also, we rented it from Amazon, so we did a little watch party, so that's an option. I mean you can get physical copies too, but yeah.
Yep. You would think this is on HBO Max, but it's not. So.
Yes. Good. Thank you
they
for
want their money.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah. It's not on HBO Max. What'd you think, Christian?
Right off the bat, I thought it was a pretty solid animated movie, because I know in recent years the DC animated films have been either here or there, especially the last Batman comic adaptation was Hush. That's the last one I saw. I don't know if they came out with another one between that, but Hush really disappointed me because they just took the easy route and just made it, okay, I don't care if I spoil it because it was shit. He's Riddler, you know, like Hush is Riddler, and that's not how it was in the comic at all. You know, and so I mean, I'm not going to spoil the comic for you, because if you haven't read it, please go read it. It's top notch. And the animated film didn't really do that justice, and I kind of hated. I really do hate how they incorporate Damian Wayne's Robin in every single story now. Yeah. Because he's the now canon Robin. You know, like, what? Okay, well, you know, Batman had a history before him. You know, why can't we just get some stories set during that time? Yeah. And thank God The Long Halloween has not have any, like, current connections to any of the DC animated universe. So there's no Damian Wayne Robin. There's nothing they're trying to retcon to make it fit something. Right. This seems like a proper adaptation so far. Yeah. And I really admire that.
You bring up a good point.
Yeah.
Let's see. I thought it was okay. I know I haven't read this graphic novel, or the graphic novel. I haven't actually read this one. I've read Year One, and I read Death in the Family. I have not been able to get to this one, so I was coming at it with fresh eyes. I thought it was good. I thought it was all right. There were a few. It was kind of long, and I don't understand. For me personally, I don't really understand why it's split into two parts.
Yeah. That's because, I mean, there was like a lot of subplots for the comic-wise. Like, there's 13 issues, and I mean, it's not really that lengthy, like you said. You know, it's very interesting why they did two parts. Very, very interesting.
And I mean, the way it ends was fine, but it didn't end where I'm like, ooh, I really have to like I have to watch part 2 like right now. You know what I'm saying? Like. The ending didn't really pack a punch and didn't really get me excited to watch the second half. Like, I could go on with my life, not watch the second part, and I'd be fine. I wouldn't feel like I'm missing anything.
Yeah, totally. I feel like I thought they were gonna end it with Dent turning into Two-Face. I think we were gonna have to like leave it open to see Two-Face come back for part 2, but they didn't. Dent is still Dent, and yeah, like you said, it's very anticlimactic. That is one thing about this movie. It's pretty anticlimactic. And I feel like this could have been one movie. Yeah. It didn't have to be 2 parts. I feel like if anything, Hush should have been 2 parts, because that is a longer story than The Long Halloween.
Right.
You know? So I'm pretty sure it's probably like money wise that they probably split it up into two.
Yeah.
You know, and I hope this is not really a trend that they do going forward. So I hope there's not like a new Wonder Woman movie that comes out like animated wise, and then there's two parts to that story. You know, just so they can try to market off of two films while
Right.
producing one.
Right.
Just release all of it. You know, if the story calls for it, there's something that epic. Long Halloween isn't that epic of a story. It's more of a grounded detective story. You know, a lot of detective elements in here, going back and forth, looking at crime scenes, discussing who do you think it is, interrogating, and the graphic novel dives into that way more. But I do like how they kind of like, you know, bring it here and there. Like the whole good cop, bad cop between Gordon and Batman was a cool little scene to see play out, because that's something you don't really see them normally do in a big budget movie.
Right.
To know that maybe the new Batman movie is taking some inspiration from the Long Halloween storyline in its detective groundism, if I'm saying that right.
Detective groundism, yes.
Yes, detective groundism. Like they're really taking that detective story and making something that's pretty dark and grounded. And it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt that to the new movie. And that's what you get a lot of that in this movie. So if you want a little sneak peek of that, I think it could be in this movie for sure.
That's a very good point. I think, and it'll be interesting to see, like you said, how influenced that movie was, right? Because this obviously pulled from the source material, which was the comic book. It'll be very interesting to see how much Matt Reeves also pulls from this. So, and it was a nice primer, because I haven't actually read the series. It's a nice primer for the live action film, so that I can go into the live action film and I can be like, oh, I know where they pulled that. They pulled that from the Long Halloween. That's cool. And I'll be able to understand it a little bit more. So,
Yeah. And
very nice.
When it comes to animation styles, I do say this is the better in a long time, because they give like the characters and I think almost every single object like this thick black outline. It's not too much. Now, when I say thick black outline, it's not like overbearing.
Yeah.
But when you notice it, you're like, oh, look at that. They're outlined. And it just feels like a comic book. It just feels like a comic, because everything has its own, like, everything's so definitive on the page. And the artist has, well, mainly the inker, because the inker goes around and makes those thick lines. So it looks like a comic book inker went and inked the animation for this movie. And I thought that was really, really cool. You know, and that's actually, you pointed that out when I saw that, I think. And you're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely, I pointed out the eyeliner on Bruce Wayne. Definitely.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of funny. Like, he was even at like parties and he had the eyeliner. And
Yeah.
like, okay, he's just always ready to be Batman.
He's got the eyeliner. What was do you have a favorite scene? I know my favorite scene, obviously, like I said, the best scene in the movie is when Batman delivers the Thanksgiving dinner to Solomon Grundy down in the sewer. I think that was my favorite scene.
Very wholesome, because even though it's called the Long Halloween, the story spans throughout the holidays.
Yes.
So that whole last section of the year that is the holiday season, that's when this mainly takes place.
Yeah.
And because it's just because the crime started on Halloween and that they're still going on with it, it just feels very long to them. That's why it's called the Long Halloween. Same thing in the graphic novel. But I do love that whole Thanksgiving scene with Grundy. Yeah, because Alfred made the Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Was that Selena at the manor?
Yeah.
That might have been Selena? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I remember it was funny because she was trying to reach out for the chicken and he slaps her hand.
Yep.
It's like, not yet, you know? And I just love how, we know Alfred's a great cook. Like, I would love to have a meal made by Alfred. That shit would be bomb. Like, 100%. Even a cup of tea from him would be, like, really great.
Yeah.
So I love how they showcased that a little bit, and then they had Batman do a very wholesome act of giving Grundy he fixed him a plate, man, for the holidays. Yeah, that's so, you don't see Batman doing that for Joker or anyone else.
Exactly.
Because there's that, if you know Grundy's backstory, it's a very sad backstory. He's kind of like cursed to be resurrected. And he's living with his past, so he's kind of like a loner, man. He's not supposed to be alive, but he is. Because he's a dead man.
Very much.
So he just keeps repeating his rhyme and his poem. So he's like in his own little purgatory, and Batman feels for him. And
Batman.
Yeah, that moment was really beautiful.
Batman can relate. Batman also too could have died in the alley with his parents and spends a lot of time by himself. So.
Right.
There's those parallels. Yeah.
I think other than that, my favorite scene was probably Calendar Man. They had that. I always loved the Calendar Man scene in the graphic novel because of the art. He's like as white as the page,
Yeah.
and it's just like it looks like just the face was drawn, you know. And it was just so eerie to see on the page. They didn't really fully, again with that black outline, they didn't fully capture that in this animated movie. However, the voice actor, I'm slipping on his name, but he is in a number of films. He mainly plays bad guys. He's in the new Suicide Squad as Polka Dot Man.
David David Dastmalchian.
Yeah.
David
That actor.
David Dastmalchian. Yeah.
Yes. There you go. Thank you so much. He voices Calendar Man, and I think his voice was pretty spot on. I think his performance really brought that eeriness to the character that was missing from the artwork. Now, visually, they don't show it to you in this movie, I don't think, but the performance makes up for it, in my opinion. That's something you can't get with the comic book, you know? It's all the
Exactly.
voice in your head.
Exactly.
But with the comic book, it's the visual that really haunts you with Calendar. So I like how they made up for that in the animated movie, and that was probably my favorite besides Grundy.
Definitely. Speaking of actors, Jason Ackles, is it Ackles or Ackles? Supernatural guy.
Yeah, Ackles.
He plays Batman Bruce Wayne in this film. So if you're a fan of him, that may be a reason to check this out.
He's the short-haired dude from Supernatural.
Exact-
Not the long-haired dude.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're familiar with faces and not names. I thought he did a really good voice for Batman.
Yeah.
Because I wanted Kevin Conroy, but Kevin Conroy's not here, so good substitute. What did you think of his voice?
I thought he did perfect. I know there's a lot of people voicing Batman throughout the years. I thought he did pretty well. There were a few moments in the film where Josh Dunham, I think that's his name, or Josh Duhamel. Sorry, Josh Duhamel.
Yeah.
Plays Two-Face, and there were a couple times when the audio felt off or the acting. I don't know if it was his performance or what, but when they're on the rooftop, and it's the three of them, his like the mix of that. I don't know if it was the mix or if it was his performance, but it just felt like off to me, or not very well done. I don't know.
Interesting.
And
I
just
kind of want to rewatch it just to see that the rooftop scene, to see what you really. Yeah, because I felt like I didn't know that actor voiced Harvey Dent while watching it, and when all the voice actors when all the characters came on screen and they started talking, I'm like, oh, that could be so and so. I started to try to pinpoint who's who, you know. But yeah, with his it sounded very generic, a very very generic Dent, and Dent is supposed to have a little flavor of Two-Face in there, you know. So like Two-Face has this hard, like tough voice right here, you know, because he's very. You know, he's like very like rugged and very like he's seen some shit, you know, because he sees the corruption of the system in Gotham, and he sees how like shit doesn't pan out for, you know, the innocent, and so he wants to take justice in his own hand. You know, I'm the law now, which is the whole Two-Face thing.
Right.
So to really have that build up and Dent, especially with the performance, you're right in that. You know, I didn't really feel like this guy could be Two-Face. You know, it felt like he was having trouble being Harvey Dent first.
Yeah, it just
I can kind of feel that.
I mean, and so much of the performance was kind of like held back. Like we'll see what happens. Like I will probably watch part 2. I would assume I'd like to review part 2, and we'll see what happens. Who knows? Maybe once he's able to kind of unleash and like be fully Two-Face, maybe his performance will be better. I don't know.
Which I felt they should have had in this one. I feel like that was probably something they missed out on. They could have left that towards the end, and then the big reveal of Two-Face cut to black.
That's what I thought was coming, yeah.
And so they're, because why divide it into 2 parts? You know, if you're not going to leave something hanging. I thought it was going to be something like that. But no, like you said, you could walk away after this film and be like, oh, fuck, there's a part 2? Oh, okay, I guess.
Oh, you know? All right, I guess.
But it's interesting to know that this part was PG-13, and the second part is rated R.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So yeah, because I saw the ratings, I'm like, damn, they're really different. So is it Two-Face? Does he have like a really gory design maybe that they're giving him?
That makes sense.
I'm not sure. I'm thinking that's probably why. So it's like consistent blood and gore on the screen whenever he's there.
Yeah.
my guess, I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see what if it's darker, because this whole thing should have been dark from the get-go. You know, it should have been rated R. Should have been like, you know, and and plus, talk about looks of Gotham. I love the look of this Gotham because like mainly the cars. I love that 1920s look.
Yep.
I think that's like the era that looks like like the animated series in the 90s like just breathe in that era and that whole theme.
Yep.
I love how they kind of brought that back for this one. If I'm going to say something positive, building off of the lackluster Dent performance, something positive is Gotham's look, man. Gotham's look is really beautiful. And like you said, the snow. There's snow in this movie. And snow is like really, we haven't seen that since Returns. So
Yep.
I think that would be really great to implement in this new Batman movie with pets.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did bring that up. That I firmly believe that the Robert Pattinson Batman movie will follow this pretty, not to a T, but like
Right.
definitely is gonna be heavily inspired by this for sure. And it'll be like I'm kind of lukewarm on this first part. I'm kind of like, it was fun. But I do wonder, I didn't realize that the second part was rated R, and I do wonder how much the second part is going to affect it as a whole, because if the second part is like stellar and like blows me away, then I might be like, oh, like it may raise the rating for this one, you know, and be like, oh, cool. So
True.
But
this
then
is technically half the story.
But
so.
but exactly. But then that's gonna go more. It'll be interesting because once we see the second half, then it's like, well, why wasn't it just all one movie? Like why? Like it might if the next part's really really good, then it's like you could have just made a really really good one really good film instead of just one kind of part and then a really good part. I know. We know. We know they want the money.
Ending? It's like a DLC for a movie. You want to see the rest of it?
Yeah.
Buy the DLC.
Rent the next part.
But I think there's still some fun sequences in this movie. If you're a big Batman fan, of course, there's like the Catwoman Batman chase on the rooftop.
Where
always pretty fun.
Where Batman runs really slow.
Where Batman runs really slow. I think that's because he likes the chase. He
yes.
likes chase. He's like, I don't want to catch her.
Oh yeah,
she's
of course.
not like, you know.
Of course.
So I think that could be it. But that was funny that you pointed out. He's running pretty slow. Like, what the hell? He got some lead in his boots.
Exactly.
But you got those fun moments. You got a nice Joker reveal, which I didn't see the poster, so I forgot Joker was going to pop up in here. So I'm like, oh, yeah, Joker, that's cool. Then Troy Baker voices Joker in this, and his voice for Joker is pretty spot on. So, I mean, like, and plus you get your, like, classic Joker shenanigans, too. He does something pretty top-notch toward the end, which just screams Joker. You know, like flying a plane through Gotham with poison gas, that's just Joker.
I love that. I love that.
So if you want to, I think if you're a classic Batman fan and you want to see those moments again in an animated form, I think you should sit and watch this one. You know?
Yeah,
it does have those moments.
I agree. For two things, if you're a Batman fan, I think you're going to really enjoy this. And then, but also too, if you want to get a little context onto what the Robert Pattinson Batman movie is going to kind of loosely be based on, and you want some sort of knowledge going into that movie, definitely check these two parts out, and you'll get a little refresher course.
Detective story for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then the fight choreography, I thought was really well done. The
fight choreography was pretty cool. The little fight scene in the alley.
Yeah.
Very anime-like.
That was awesome.
Very anime style based. So if you like anime, you like how the fight scenes are in anime, you're going to be pleasantly surprised with this movie because the fights are pretty cool. And I'm expecting that for part 2. Maybe that was a little taste for what's to come in part 2.
So with all that being said, to follow the rating scale on my channel, I'm going to give Batman The Long Halloween Part 1 a 3 out of 5 Skarsgårds. So thank you so much for reaching to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this new style of video that is a joint review. And again, tune in to the Rendered Image every Thursday, live, 8:30 p.m. And yeah, we discuss a lot of movie news, movie topics, and we just share our opinions about them, and it's really, really fun. So if you want to have an hour-long kind of like listen to it like a podcast, you can also do that as well. Tune in live, and it's also there afterwards for your viewing pleasure. So yes, in conclusion, this is it for today's video. Again, thank you so much for reaching the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe, and I hope you're all safe and well out there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.